Oh, those politicians up on the Hill and the new secretary and deputies, they really don't know. They got to listen to us. We've been captured by them and the bureaucracy of the UN so that they decide what's good. They decide what information. They decide whether or not the American people could get the truth. Otherwise, how is it that the American people don't know that a guy who we have propped up, put in, spent our blood, our treasury, our youngsters who've given up their lives for freedom, for the safety of this country, the hundreds of billions of dollars that we have poured into Iraq, that we are supporting a corrupt, vicious dictator who is working with the Iranian mullahs to destroy this country. Incredible. Incredible. I'm almost on the verge of giving the person who I support as president an idea, is long overdue. Stand up and say, take our young men and women out of Iraq now, because this guy over there is only working to undercut the United States, not to help us and to suppress us and to support the Iranians. Now is the time to stand up. We don't have the guts in either party to acknowledge the truth. MEK has been the sworn enemy of the corrupt mullahs who are there now. Let's make them our friend. Let's bring down terrorism. Expose them. Expose the UN. Take them on where it hurts. Begin to say, build in a program of sanctions against just giving them money. If they continue to distort the truth, hide. Camp Liberty. What a deception. What a duplicitous. Let me tell you. You got to organize. You got to be out there. And while your group has done a great job in bringing the attention to, yes, congressmen and senators and important leaders, is the public that has to be educated. How do you educate them? I'll tell you. We should be marching in front of the UN. We should be exposing the so-called Camp Liberty to what's taking place. Opponent to the United States in the government that exists in Iraq today. One that has become the tool and the captive of the Iranian mullahs. The American people have a right to know. That's our job and your job, to let them know. Yours is a tough battle, because for years no one has been able to really get a handle on the UN or the State Department. And I have to tell you, I participated in a panel, and there I learned shockingly, when the general who was in charge of that particular camp, Camp Ashraf, when it came into its early days, General David Phillips, spoke so eloquently that he was shocked and disappointed after checking all of the people who entered the camp, looking for those who would bring harm to our country, putting them through vigorous security checks, and he couldn't find one out of the approximately 3,000. Not one. And then he wondered, what were his men doing there? Why were these people there? Now we call Camp Liberty something that people think they should be proud of. We should be shocked. We should be horrified. And we can and should do everything we can to bring this to the attention of the public and rally them to our cause. The Iraqis are no friends of ours. I'd go after them. And the UN, as long as it distorts the truth, we have a duty and obligation to expose that. Thank you.
There is no doubt this is a repressive regime. The unconscionable rhetoric that has been uttered by this regime over the last so many years troubles me greatly. And it troubles me greatly because I was not born until 1946, but I have made it my business to study and understand how the United States became involved in a conflagration called World War II. And I am reminded of another regime that voiced the same kinds of unconscionable rhetoric in the decade of the 30s, and we sat idly by while it was going on. And we paid a dear price for having not acted when the time was right. It's also my considered opinion that a nuclear weapons-capable Iran, with its present government, would be a dramatically destabilizing factor for not just the Gulf, but for a greater region. It appears to me something far more sinister, and I think that we have to take note, not just the United States of America, but all the communities of free nations. It is without question and without doubt in my mind, as it is with many American soldiers, that the Iranian government has not been helpful to the people of Iraq as they pursue a quest for self-determination. Where will it stop? So again, I respect and admire what you stand for and what you're trying to do.
Thank you so much, General McNeill. And thank you for raising a really important issue that often gets lost in the debate over how to resolve a nuclear Iran, and the threat of a nuclear Iran. It seems, General, as though the only debate has been a military solution, and how important it is to hear your military perspective, especially as it relates to the importance of a political opposition within Iran that can help bring the stability, a democratic process going forward for not only the future of Iran, but the future of the region. In having a political solution, it brings us to the point that we're making today. And that point is, when is the United States going to unshackle the power of the international Iranian diaspora, the most organized political opposition to the mullahs in Tehran? So this is today not only about international security. It's not only about the humanitarian concerns. It's about getting to a political solution as opposed to a military solution. And as I said at the very outset of today's meeting, all of these have the same answer, and that is delist the MEK and you'll solve the political solution, the humanitarian solution, and the geostrategic solution of national security. That is why we must delist the MEK. By once again calling on our attention to be focused on the residents of Ashraf and Liberty and the plight that they are facing when they are going into a camp called Liberty, which has been anything but a camp of liberty. It's been a camp of prison. And last week we heard once again one of the top UN officials say that there was a cover-up from the UN disguising the fact that this Liberty was not suitable for human dwelling. So as the sixth convoy leaves, and because of the leadership and goodwill gesture of Madam Rajavi, it's appropriate that we call on the Iraqi government, that we call on the United Nations and Mr. Kobler to finally do the right thing. And that's honor the humanitarian issues that have been pointed out in the Memorandum of Understanding.